Welcome to Podlygamists, the Sister Wives Rewatch podcast.
We sit down each week and recap an episode of TLC's longest-running reality show, following the Browns, a Mormon polygamous family originating in Lehi, Utah.
I'm Samantha Kaiser.
And I'm Haley Graff.
And this is Podlygamists,
Season 3, Episode 11.
Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
I think first and foremost, before we get into this episode of Sister Wives, so an important development has occurred. And Sam finally watched Severance after months and months of my nagging and begging and pleading and offering to share passwords and
Right? Finally did it.
Finally happened. And what do you think?
I'm sucked in so far. I'm 2 episodes in. I understand you're hyping it for better part of this year. So.
Yep. Oh yeah, at least. I think I watched it when I had a really terrible cold, like in winter, end of winter or spring. So.
Yeah, I think it was like end of spring you were watching, or sometime in spring you were watching it.
Yeah. So it's been a good 6 months.
Right.
And I'm anxious for you to continue watching that.
So look for that spin-off podcast when we talk about Severance.
It really ties neatly into a companion piece to the Sister Wives podcast. Excellent show on Apple Plus if you haven't watched it. Anybody else out there?
Haley's not paid to promote it, but she will. So
they don't pay me a penny. In fact, I pay them to watch their show, and I love it so much. So that's big news. Anyways, getting back into this episode, it's titled "Kody Climbs in the Ring," which is again funny. I think it's funny when they pick a title that's related to the most minimal piece of an episode.
Right.
But whatever.
And they put like the little screen grab of it too, and it was like probably 3 minutes of the episode.
They make it seem like he's like in a fight, like in an MMA fight.
Yeah, he's doing it for real, and like we're gonna be in the stands watching his first MMA
like
fight.
He just got into this hobby suddenly. But what we really start out with is this episode really covers a lot of things quickly. Like it's like a lot of mini segments. Because I forgot until I'm looking at my notes now that we open with Mary talking about all the stress she's dealing with. And we kind of never come back to that in the episode. It's just kind of like we open up with her like tearful, talking about her stress and anxiety and all the things. And then we just move right on. Right? Like,
and I wrote down first, I was like, okay, so Mary's kind of having a breakdown. And they're like, anyways. So, which might be some of the problem later.
Right, true. It's weird they show it, but like don't really discuss it in any way. They just like move right along.
Yeah.
Sort of a continuation from a conversation they had recently with Bill or regarding fitness and stuff. So maybe that's why. But then we cut right to Janelle doing some yoga.
Good for
I'm
her.
impressed with her mobility. Yeah. She's like touching her toes, and I have to warm up for a good while to touch my toes.
Oh, me too.
So I was kind of impressed with her agility.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she's a yogi. And we talk about how we're about to have another weigh-in. Well, she just says she hates weigh-ins because she feels so much healthier and more results than what the scale shows.
Which I was like, that's a healthy way to look at it, though, to know like your working out has value outside of the numbers on the scale, and the fact that she has that internally, even though like we put so much emphasis on how much you weigh and stuff, it actually is more. How is your body doing otherwise, though? Like, are you still healthy otherwise? Are you feeling good? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they all hate weigh-ins, it makes you think, like, why are we weighing you in? I mean, I guess it's, like, accountability, but I don't know. It feels like maybe... was that funny?
I think those yours. I have mine off.
I'm, like, debating parasocial relationships with Dalton right now.
Oh, really?
Like, he disagrees with my assessment, so...
In our podcast?
I don't think he listened to the podcast because his understanding of what it was very different from what I
feel like he listened to it because I remember him talking to me about it.
I remember he provided a quote for it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever. Anyway, not what we're here to talk about today.
Been on our tangents today.
Oh, Robyn's really pregnant, due in about a month. Oh, they're just calling him Saul, which I guess I forgot. I had a bunch of questions about that because I forgot that they had revealed the name they were going to use, which is Solomon. And they're going furniture shopping for Saul's nursery. They just keep calling it a baby room, which is weird to me. I don't know. I feel like it's usually called a nursery, but
Yeah, I just kept writing down nursery, but yeah, they keep calling baby room. So
Yeah.
okay.
And so, of course, fun pop out surprise. We go back to Colleen's classic consignment to see Theo.
Woo, Theo!
Furniture salesman to the stars. And they're happy to see him. He's happy to see them. He's just so darn delightful. I said it, I think he reminded me again. I feel like Dave Chappelle could be playing Theo in the story of Theo's
Right.
life. So basically, like, oh, we're here for a rocker and like a dresser. I guess they must have already ordered the crib because they do have one, but it's not. They don't purchase it at Colleen's Classic Consignment.
Yeah, that one came shipped to him or whatever later.
Yeah. Theo is thrilled. He asks, "Are you having a boy?" And they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "I got just the thing." And they like all parade through the showroom to this like dresser in the corner, which is just like a pretty plain like little dresser
Yeah.
with baseball knobs on it.
That's the thing.
He's like, "Huh?" And they're all like, "Wow." And you gotta wonder if they called ahead and like, "Hey, we're looking for a dark dresser.
Right.
Have something like ready to dazzle us or whatever."
Dazzle.
Because it's like a dark wood color. And it's cute, but they don't go with like a baseball or a sports theme. So it's just like I have a feeling they changed those knobs off of it.
Right.
But
It'd be kind of out of place with the theme they later went with. So
right, we'll save the reveal of the theme for
in
later.
case anyone is on the edge of their seat and wants to wait for it.
So, but he's really excited. They're really pleased. They get all the things they're looking for. They get a changing table and a chair and their dresser. And that's it. And then we go, and then we move on to another scene, right?
Right. And then I wrote something about Bill being focused about the scale, but I don't think that was anything in this particular sequence. So I think I just wrote that down and kept on going. So it went on to Kody's night out, I think was the next scene.
Oh, really? I had the weigh in.
Maybe that's why I wrote it.
What'd you?
All I wrote was, I disagree with Bill's focus on the scale.
Oh, yeah, that's why. Because all the ladies are like, I hate weigh-in, I hate weigh-in, I hate weigh-in. And then they're like, weigh-in time. And it's like, why are we doing, like we just said a minute ago, it's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Like, and because, like, Mary was so discouraged after the first weigh-in that she's like, I kind of, like, didn't try as hard then because I was like, what's the point? And so, I don't know. If it's going to discourage you and not motivate you, I don't see why you should focus on it then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that seems counterproductive. So.
That's the thing. If it's not motivating them, it's like, maybe let's take a break from the scale for a few weeks or whatever.
Yeah, like, let's set other fitness goals. Like,
yeah,
let's try to get you to do X amount of push-ups. You know,
like
let's
you
try
can
to get
run
you
for
to do
this long.
something,
Yeah.
you know, and just focus on that, and then you feel more accomplished rather than, because like the scale, you can do everything right and still the scale doesn't budge, you know. So
yeah, Janelle has lost 10 pounds, which is like the most
right.
of everybody, and she's feeling accomplished. And again, she has such a good attitude about it that it's like it doesn't almost matter because she's like, I just feel great. And then they're like, well, yeah, when I look in the mirror, because the thing is, when you're working out, you're gaining muscle and just changing the way you carry yourself in a lot of ways. So it's like, if I feel like I look better in the mirror, even if the pounds aren't dropping off, then like that's an accomplishment too. So
yeah, and that's, I think, what I wrote down that note about Bill with the focus on the scale, because he said it's not about how your clothes fit better, you feel better. And I'm like, yes, it is. Like, he's like, if you feel better, I mean, like, if you feel better wearing the clothes and you feel better walking around and you feel better with your mobility, that is what it's about. Like, the number on the scale is just a number.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, this again was the early 2010s. So, I mean, we had a little different mindset then. But I still was like, Bill, come on.
Yeah. Bill, and he kind of gets on them, which is maybe where you were like talking about how you disagree. Because Mary's like, well, we've made some steps and we've made improvement, and he's like, that's not good enough. And then they cut away right away from that. They cut like there's no
continue that. I want to know what else he said there. Did he redeem himself and not sound like such an ass here? Because
yeah, it almost was like quieter. It was almost like snuck in. You know what I mean? I was like, this weird. The way they like cut that together was strange.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, Bill. Are you living that life though that they are? Because they've had a lot of shit going on in the last year. So Mary being stressed, and some people cope with stress by eating more and vegging out in front of the TV. And I can't even I can't blame them by any means. So maybe take it down a notch, Bill. I don't know what your life is, but it's certainly not
Yeah.
theirs.
I wonder if he's trying like a tough love thing or something.
That's not my style, though. We
I
should probably
know.
know that with my empathy that, like, that's not my style.
I know.
I get
But for as an
you.
athletic trainer, I'm sure that's like a technique that he has, you know.
But see,
I
again,
don't
like,
know.
I mean, I did CrossFit for several years and everything, and like my trainer and stuff in CrossFit, like I don't necessarily recommend CrossFit to just anybody, as it is, but
Mhm.
the trainer and stuff that I had was never like hardcore screaming like some drill sergeant, never like that at all.
Yeah.
Like
I
really
think that's
chill,
phased out.
easygoing, laid back, and like we still found motivation to train. So I don't think that's necessary.
Mhm. I think for a very few people, it's
Yeah,
like
I mean there may
effective.
be some who really
But
respond to it, but I certainly am
yeah,
not one of them myself.
I
But
don't think it's popular these days.
I don't think so either.
Um, and Janelle again with the positive like kind of attitude, she goes, "This is the hardest thing I've done, I think." And for me, it's about quality of life, and for her, that's what she's accomplishing. So I think that's good. And her attitude maybe is like really shows why she's the one that really sticks with it.
I was
You
just
know,
thinking that too.
she has such a longer run with this than the rest of them do, from what I recall. You know,
Because
we
she's not like just focusing on like I'm only going to continue with this if I see this goal of the
yeah,
scale dropping, so I mean because she's like no, I actually just keep feeling better. I keep noticing
hmm
that I'm more mobile. That
yeah,
is what's motivating her.
yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of shows like why she's the one, why she really sticks with it. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, now we cut to boys' night. As Kody mentioned in the last episode, he feels like he needs a boys' night. And the lineup for boys' night is kind of hilarious. It's his buddy from his church community, so I'm assuming from Utah or
Right.
like
Old
far
friend
away.
Jeff. Hmm.
It's a local friend he made recently that's not polygamous. He's from Vegas. And then it's Bill the trainer. I'm
We'll just
like,
got tons of screen time this week.
yeah, I'm like, you must be getting paid like as a regular character on
Right,
this.
you're a recurring character here, like.
Uh-huh. Um So that's funny. And then I'm like, okay, well, where's Theo? Like,
Right, I know it.
I mean,
Who forgot to invite Theo to the guys' night? Like,
I mean, their convertible was full, I guess, so they couldn't fit another guy in
right.
there.
Next
But it
time.
was the weirdest. What a random. Not one of those guys knows each other besides Kody, you
Right.
know. And it's
Can you
four
imagine?
dudes.
Aren't those like always awkward?
Yes.
Because I don't know, like when you know like you have one mutual friend and you get together. I find it so weird because I'm just like
Yeah.
I just don't prefer it. Like I'd rather know
Unless it's like
several.
like weddings can be like that,
Yeah.
bachelorette like things can be like that because
Bridal
they're
shower, baby shower, something
then
like
it's
that.
about the person.
Yeah.
Graduation parties, I feel like are
Yeah.
like that, you
But
know,
just like
because
a
it's like
night
you have
out.
one thing in common and it's the one person.
Yeah.
So it's like you're pretty limited on what you can connect with everybody else about.
So how do you know so and so? Like
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like even weirder because it's not like a celebration where there's like a point. It's just we're all just hanging
yeah.
as buds. A lot of one-on-one
As
time,
guys.
cruising in their like Mustang. So Bill is like escorting them to the MMA ring because I guess his brother-in-law or something is an MMA fighter. There's some
Right.
connection. His brother.
Yeah, one of their brothers like owns the MMA place or has a
Oh, they
friend that
own it.
owns it or something like that.
Something. So they just go there to like check it out. Kody fully in his button down, his like Ed Hardy flared button down and his flare jeans gets up there and is like with this fighter guy who's out of breath. He just got done actually working out, it seems like.
Right. He was
He's
actually
like
like doing something when they came in.
letting Kody punch him. He's not punching Kody, but he's like showing him like kind of the combinations they use and stuff like that. And he's like flailing around and his hair is flying and his jeans and his button down shirt for like his night in the town. It was the
I was
weirdest.
like, so you're gonna get all sweaty and then go out for like dinner, I guess.
In jeans.
Also,
Like heavy.
during the whole thing, so like Cody's in the ring, and Bill's sitting there like videoing Kody like a good Instagram boyfriend, just in the corner, like making sure to document it. Like
Weird.
I was like, who's this
Um,
for? Is it Bill just gonna keep it for his own, or is he like gonna send it to live?
trainers will do that thing where they video you and then show you to like kind of offer tips or whatever.
Right?
Something like that, maybe. But like, we're not really here to train.
Yeah.
He's in jeans and a button. Like, it's just
Yeah,
so
this isn't
whatever.
a serious session. Like,
Yeah. So I don't know. It
but
was
apparently
bizarre.
Kody was a two-time wrestling state champ, so he's got some kind of
He's got some sort of record in his high school too, but we know he's from Wyoming, so the high school,
take
I'm
that
sure it's
as you will.
small. Yeah. But I don't know. I think some of his boys are like Hunter and Logan. I want to say wrestled. I think they
I feel like
have.
Logan did.
Yeah.
Hunter was in football. I don't know if that coincides with wrestling
Isn't
or.
wrestling a winter sport?
Oh, maybe. Maybe it goes football,
It was
wrestling,
like spring.
baseball, track. Yeah,
I
maybe.
remember indoors. They had that nasty, like padded
Big
gym that they
mat
were like.
thing they roll out. Like,
Yeah. Ugh. I remember we'd have like gym class in because it was like a loft, a little like upper level of our gym that just had that padded room. It was just a room for wrestling. It was so nasty, and we'd go in there for gym class and play like dodgeball or whatever.
hmm.
It's like I feel like I'm gonna get like MRSA or something off of this
Oh,
mat
people
because
always
they're
got like ringworm and shit from it.
yes,
And I was like, that's just disgusting. Why does anyone want to do this?
like herpes. Yeah, like yeah, yeah. I can't believe I don't imagine they're cleaning it that well.
Well,
So
clearly not if they're all getting these
right.
things
Mm-hmm.
from it, so that's cool.
Anyways, I guess their next stop is like the sort of German beer garden, beer hall type,
What a
like
weird choice.
almost looked like a Renaissance fair, but it was like German.
And
It was like
like
humongous.
polka music.
Yeah. Um, I'm sure the food's not good. It seems like one of those things where it's just like an attraction, but not
I
like
can't
a fine.
imagine they do the schnitzel right there, you know?
Yeah.
It's on the
How
strip.
big that it was almost like something you'd see at like Disneyland or Universal where it's like a huge it looks like, oh, it's the on theme, but it's like basically a cafeteria when you walk
Yeah,
in.
where you go up and just like plate your food as the
Chicken
along the
yeah.
salad bar.
Mm-hmm. It seems loud, so I don't know, weird
Mm.
choice. But they're at the strip, and Kody makes a big deal of like, we're on the strip, and there's a lot of things that you have to like avert your eyes from, and so, it's like a safe thing to do in Vegas for them. It's like fun and kitschy, but not overly sexual. So
Yeah.
they have to like do this eye shield thing that he like. I wasn't sure. Do you think he meant to like? He's like, because anyways, to explain to the listener, he's talking about in Vegas, and again they show it all like the billboards and stuff of boobs and like ladies and
Mm.
whatever, and ladies dressed, walking around just dressed very like
Excuse
small
me.
clothes and stuff. And Cody's like, any gentleman, a guy, will just go like this, but he like leaves a little. He does like he covers his face, but with like a little gap in his fingers, like kind of
We can keep looking,
and I'm like, is that
pretend that
intentional or is
he's
that just
shielding his eyes, but then actually still sneaking a
like
peek.
look at peeking? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if that was because he was talking to the camera and just didn't want to like.
No, he meant like
Oh,
actually still sneaking a peek,
like
but
peeking.
pretending that he's more decent than that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was like a weird admission to make, but
Right.
but yeah, I mean they have a pretty wholesome evening all together.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's not like the wives have to worry about him being out for guys' night by any means. Like,
right?
he's just
Yeah.
they went
They're
to
sober.
an
They're
ring and
just
fooled around, and then
yep.
went to a
Very
restaurant.
middle school like birthday party sort of type of deal.
Yeah.
They do sit down like together to talk at this table in this beer hall, the guys. And Bill, I think, is pressing Cody's buttons a little bit.
I
And
think so too.
he points out like the unique personality of each of the wives because Bill works so much with them training, not so much Robyn, but the other three ladies. Because again, he's the trainer at Anytime Fitness that Kody invited. They also want to open a gym with, apparently.
They're trying.
And he's like, how do you do it? They're all so unique. And then he's like, I don't know, does Christine razz you as much as she does? And he's like, like laughing. And I think he's getting increasingly more uncomfortable as he's like realizing that Cody's not like, oh yeah, man, like a
yeah. Cody
like,
didn't react super like he didn't respond in kind in the same way. You know, he was a little.
He like smiles, but he seems like he's like thinking
kind of annoyed. Like, what is she doing though? Like,
yeah. And then it cuts right to him talking in the confessional to the camera of like, Christine's a shameless flirt. Like she, I'm sure she thinks Bill's cute, and it's just like, was this some creative editing that was like meant to make it seem like this is an issue here, or what? Because they don't show Cody's reaction at all. He just kind of smiles, and then we cut to the other sort of mini interview.
Yeah,
so
it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It did seem a little uncomfy.
Yeah.
You got to wonder what Kody's friend, who's from his faith, was like feeling about this whole evening of like, we're going to Vegas, we're hanging out with Bill the trainer and this other guy that is just a random guy.
Just Sean over there, who we just met.
So that's all a little cringy, awkward. And then Sean asks if he prefers the presence, if he's ever like in the mood to hang out with one wife more than another, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's ever like feeling like he just would rather go to see one instead of who he's.
Yeah, like say, like I'm going mini golfing with Janelle today, but I'd much rather do that with Mary, kind of
Right.
deal.
Yeah.
Which
And
I
they
feel
do
like
that.
would be. I'd be kind of surprised if he didn't feel that way on occasion, though.
I'm sure. I feel like it's just natural.
Yeah.
Like there's always a friend you like that's better suited for something than
Yeah.
or like if you're feeling a certain way, someone you'd rather hang out with, and
Yeah.
So I'm sure, but he didn't really answer the question. I'm sure. I bet you he maybe said something along the lines of like, it can kind of be that way, but because it'd just be silly to say like, no, never.
I mean, it might be like he was like, no, but I feel like it's when I'm at someone's house, at one of their houses, then it's always really, I don't feel like motivated
He
to
doesn't want
leave,
to
though,
leave.
to go to the next
Yeah.
one because I'm happy there.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I totally get that, though, too. I
It
mean,
was a good answer for
yeah,
like addressing that.
yeah.
I believe him.
And then where he said, like, if I double up one night, staying like multiple nights, and then they were like, wait, like with the ladies you double up? And he's like, no. And again, saying that we don't go weird.
You don't go weird.
Like, no, that means I spent like 2 nights in a row at one of their houses. Not like I had them both at the same time kind of deal. Like,
Yeah.
but immediately
Yeah,
that's where their mind went. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and then they must I don't know, that the phrase "we don't go weird" is such a weird.
I mean, that's
Such a
apparently a
strange.
tagline for them.
Yeah, and always, I don't know, probably twice a season, I would say there's some point in a confessional when they talk to the camera and they say, "Don't ask about sex," or "We don't talk about sex lives," or "We don't talk about our intimate lives."
Yep.
Just the frequency with which we have to cover this base. It's like, don't wait, we get it.
Right. And again, like we've said, I don't care.
Yeah, it's not the point. It's not like what I'm interested in. Yeah.
Like, I'm more interested in your emotional relationships that I don't care
Mm-hmm.
how you physically are dealing with your relationships.
Yeah. The function of the family is way more interesting.
Like, I don't need to be involved in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then I have "we don't get weird" in quotes. And then it's kind of the end of guys' night, right? Or do you have anything else?
No, I think that was basically how they wrapped up guys' night.
Guys' night. Just let's see, Robyn. Oh, it's just kind of reflecting on becoming or having another kid. Basically, she's like, I always thought I was done. I would just be like a single working mom.
Which I think
And
probably after divorce, I feel like a lot of people probably have that sort of mindset.
well, she's got 3, and Aurora is like at least 5, right? So
I mean,
it's been a good gap.
Yeah.
That's not like,
but she was saying like how she initially she did want more and then purposely like decided against that with her previous marriage that she's like I guess not supported and stuff and probably just feeling if their marriage wasn't good, I mean, the solution is not to have more kids.
yeah. Well, it sounds like their resources are pretty stretched too.
Yeah.
Because, well, first of all, she says she's not sure if Saul will be her last. She kind of seems like she thinks it will be.
Right.
That Solomon will be her last kid. Kody kind of like enters the room or whatever. They're like folding little hand-me-down baby clothes and stuff. And Cody's like, oh, this is the first time you've had like your own special baby room, not nursery. And she's like, yeah, it's the first time I've had a crib, first time I've had like furniture, all this stuff. And that's kind of like eye-opening, I guess, because I feel like you got to be pretty strapped not to be able to like come across a hand-me-down crib or something. You know what I mean? Like from
I mean, what were they having? Like the babies just sleep in their bed or with them? Like,
I was wondering. I was curious about the logistics. I'm like, oh, like a Rubbermaid container. Like I don't know. There's other like a
box, just
drawer. Like there's like other containers you could stick a newborn in.
I don't know. Like, I mean, you could put them in a lot of things, I guess, but
yeah, it just wouldn't occur to me because it seems like such an extreme level of like.
Yeah, and you know how like you could go to a church though and like probably ask for
Donations.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just maybe she really just didn't have any kind of sense of community and stuff
Yeah.
in her previous life and
Mm-hmm. Something. I mean,
yeah.
she didn't have any kind of. She lists a whole bunch of things, and Cody's, all my kids are raised with a crib, which is just a weird brag.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you and your kids, Kody, but like we're about talking about Robyn and her lack of right now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, weird brag.
Yeah, just okay. Congrats again. But to my point, I feel like most people could come across a crib if they like really put their mind to it.
Right. So obviously her situation was maybe shittier than normal too, that she wasn't
Yeah.
able to. So
Well, she also was. She talks about not having room as well. So like maybe if they had like a 1 bedroom setup, it's like, well,
yeah.
where would I even put a crib if I had one? So
Right.
maybe that's part of it. Um, let alone a changing table and like special dresser for the
Right.
kid. And the theme we kind of walk through the room. It's jungle theme. Ooh.
There you are. There's the
Not baseball
reveal.
theme.
Solomon's gonna have a
Um,
jungle themed nursery.
it's very cute.
It is cute.
Um, and she's excited, I think. And then the last line, which is my like preferred line of the episode, I think, is Cody goes, "Never had a kid I didn't want," and he's crying. He's got tears in his eyes. It's
Yeah.
like that is the strangest. I sure hope so.
Yeah. I feel like if you said anything but that, I would be really questioning you right now.
I mean, the
Give
fact
me
that
the
he,
number of all your kids.
she's like, "I never had a kid I didn't want." It's like,
Good.
I
That's
man, I hope
usually
so.
why
You
you
really
get pregnant. I mean,
17 or 18 times, like,
right? I mean, I think by now
okay,
you would know how not to. So,
yeah, yeah. So it's like supposed to be kind of a touching moment, I think, but it just, yeah, I was like, weird, weird closing
I kind of thought
statement.
it would be. I thought he was gonna say more about like just being happy that like he was with Robyn now and like he could give her what she didn't have
Yeah.
before, sort of deal. But I
Hmm.
mean, and maybe that's some of what was said to her, but they didn't show it on camera. It was just like, never had a kid I didn't want.
And then
Great.
scene, end scene.
Yeah.
It's just,
All right. And then it ended so abruptly too, and I was like, oh, that's it. Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Um, so at the end of the episode, I think we do meet Solomon next week, and I remember that episode. I remember watching that. So
Yes,
that'll be
because I
like
remember doing a home
the
birth
home birth. Hmm.
and watching it at the age that I did was probably like 20 or whatever I was. I was very like, oh my God, why would you
Uh-huh.
do that? Like, and having to be very quiet and stuff during it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll get
Yeah.
into it next week, obviously, but
Yeah. It'll be. I'll be curious to like watch that again from my like memory of watching it as like 12 or 13.
right.
Um. But yeah, I guess I don't have anything else about this episode.
Do we want to talk a bit about Sunday's episode or?
Yeah, we can.
Because it
I don't have
actually
notes.
coincides kind of well with a birth episode.
Sure. Good point. Um, so that one starts off. So we're transitioning to the new episode now, the new season that happened on Sunday, season 16 or 17.
Yeah, 17.
Sounds crazy when we're on season 3 right now.
Right.
But so there's a lot of like there's like 3 big segments to this one. First, they have a family Zoom, so we're finally out of this conversation with just Kody and Christine, and they're as a family just talking about COVID, how they're continuing with COVID. Are the kids going back to school now that they have the option to? Um, Isabel wants to go. She's a senior and she wants to go back. She has close friends. Otherwise, it sounds like everyone else is staying remote.
I think
Who
so.
is still in grade school, like K-12.
And Savannah's staying remote too,
Yeah,
who's what, probably around a senior-ish or in high school at least.
yeah. She's got to be a couple years younger than Isabel because she's like the baby before
Yeah, maybe she's a
really comes along.
sophomore, junior, something
Hmm.
like that. But yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I think Isabel's a lot more like Christine, outgoing, social, and so she probably has a lot more of that like social life, and maybe Savannah's not so concerned with it the way that I imagine Janelle wouldn't be.
right.
Um,
Well, and too, I mean, like it's her last chance to be around her friends every day
right.
in high school,
Yeah,
and
and
like,
it's like
like it,
spring, so
yeah,
they
isn't
have
it?
what like a month of school left, you know?
That's so weird because like around here, because my sister works in a school, and they went back like fall of 2020. Well, yeah, they did.
On and off though, right? Wasn't it
On
like
and off. Yeah, they
yeah,
were on and off. It's hard
yeah,
to remember at this point. It's just been so
hmm
long.
yeah,
It all blends together.
yeah, yeah. It's weird. They must have gone back with like weeks left of school, unless they have. Well, Arizona, they do have a different. I thought they
I
ended
think they do
earlier though.
year-round school, don't they, in Arizona?
A lot of them.
So that could be part of
Maybe
it.
that's why. Because I actually have someone I work with has kids in the Arizona schools who is always like, "Oh, kids are going back today," but they have like 3 breaks throughout the year instead of like one long summer break.
Yeah, because yeah, my brother and his kids
Oh
are out
yeah,
there
that's right.
too, and yeah, it's weird, but
So it's
sure,
different. Maybe they are like mid-year and it just doesn't make sense in my brain.
right?
Um, because we have such a traditional like September to May, June school year.
Yeah,
Anyways, it's kind of a big topic because essentially Cody's deciding that that is preventing him from seeing Isabel at all, or essentially Christine's household, because that exposes her. And they're like, well, you could go outside, Cody, like see her in the backyard.
go on a walk. I mean,
And he's pretty much just like, it's cold, like it's just there's a whole like
again, though,
frustrating.
if we could handle it in Wisconsin
Uh-huh.
winters, I'm still because again, like I still saw my sister during the whole pandemic. We just go out on walks and stuff,
Yeah,
and talk. And so if we can handle that bundling up in
yeah.
Wisconsin winters, I think you can manage it in Arizona, bud. Just saying.
And we kind of talked about it too. I think he's just kind of he's just like just done with like problem solving and working around it. He's just like
Extra effort. And,
this or that, and or I have no capacity to go beyond that. And
yeah.
it's interesting because Christine is so like to the camera and the individual like confess, because in the Zoom there no one is saying a thing. They're just like, okay, sounds good. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
the most part, Janelle's kind of like, well, what about this? Go outside. But Robin's not saying a word. Mary's not saying a word. I don't think Christine just kind of like,
Christine,
sure, yeah,
she's kind of
sounds
just
good,
letting Cody say what he needs to say and just sitting back, sort of
and
deal.
not pushing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she's kind of also just like, you make your decision, we're gonna live our lives, kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, Janelle
So
was trying to be like, well, it's frustrating me because you're just making excuses not to see your kids when you could go out and sit outside. You could go out on a walk. You could find
right,
some way. You could pick up the phone and just talk to them every day. Like,
yeah. Christine's kind of, or Janelle's kind of like, she even says like that might have been out of line what I was saying. Like, I think
she's
it's a
still
dip.
a mom in the family though, so I don't know exactly how much out of line I
I
really consider it.
I think that criticism in a group setting is something they don't do.
No, it's not.
Like individually, they might have that more of that kind. Like obviously, Christine and Cody have fought a lot more individually. They
Hmm.
don't do that in front of the other wives.
And then
It's kind of,
I think that can be both a good and a bad thing though.
I think overall it's for the best, but there are like
But
yeah,
there are
like
ways to like address things without being critical though. Like you can bring things up that
right.
need to be addressed and like they err on the side of caution of not addressing anything or not saying anything, and I don't think that's exactly the right move. Like you can do it without
Mhm.
being like, wow, you're a moron and here's why, in front of the group. You can
I
say
think
it in a
it's
more tactful way than that.
I think it's easy for people to like have sides, pile onto somebody, that kind of stuff. I think we've seen that. I feel like
Yeah.
where they getting, I don't know. I see where it's delicate, and I see where they're like just best not to.
I
Um,
definitely can, but I just think like there are times when you have to like say something and they
yeah,
haven't, and it's not been to their benefit.
yeah, no. I mean, if Robyn, because Robyn later in her one on one is like, I disagree with that. I think his older kids need him just like the little ones do. But you see her in this Zoom, just like kind of like looking off in the corner, just kind of clenching her like mouth or like face to like not say anything or react. She's just kind
Yeah.
of very like keeping it together, and it's awkward because she and him are in the same like room and looking at the Zoom
Yeah.
like this, like 1 inch from each other.
Hmm.
And so it'd be weird if she was like, Cody, blah blah blah, like turns to him and like they have their own. It's almost like a private conversation that everyone's just like not watching,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That would be a
So I'm
little
like,
weird in that case.
it was an awkward like setup. Almost where like join on your phone individually,
I
so
know.
we're
Go in a
all
different room and join in just so you have that
playing
equal
field.
footing. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's obviously not how it's been going. So I'm sure they're just like whatever at this point.
But I just think like because Cody did say, like I don't think my older kids need me as much as the little ones, and Robyn, when he said that, like I did see her face. She did react like she was kind of like, like no, I don't agree, but she didn't say anything. And that's, I mean, fine, I guess, if she didn't want to say it in that setting, but it would be nice if she'd say it privately. It'd be like, actually, I think you do need to go make more of an effort with them because it is really hurting the whole family by you not making an effort with them or having this
Mm-hmm.
estrangement with some of your kids. And I don't know that she's said any of that. And again, like, I can't, it's not like Robyn's fault that Kody's not doing it. But
Yeah.
if she could kind of nudge him in that direction, I think it would be helpful.
Yeah, I know. If she has like sway that she supposedly has over him, like they all
Yeah.
claim she does.
Well, I mean, if he respects her at all, she should have
Right.
some sway. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you should value her opinion, and if she's saying the same thing that your other wives are saying too, I mean, maybe take some consideration into that. And be like, oh, actually, yeah, my older kids do still need me too. I can't just abandon them at 18.
Yeah. And Christine to the camera makes so many points, and it's like I said to you because you and I chat about these things because especially since we don't really have an episode about this show,
Mm-hmm.
we talk a lot more about it individually. But she's like Isabel would love it if her dad would call her. Isabel would love it if he would say, "Please don't go to school so I can see you." She says all that to the camera individually,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she just like wants Kody to figure it out because she's so tired of like being the I don't know the
Rolling it out, like,
running the show,
yeah.
laying things out, having to spell everything out for him.
That's got to be tiring. Like,
Yes, but if she really wants that for Isabel, I feel like she should not. It feels like a game. I told you
mm-hmm.
this. I feel like it's a game. She's kind of playing like, see, you're just further proving that I should leave, that you're not worth a shit, that you're not
Yeah.
don't care about your kids. Like she's just kind of confirming her own already instead of like really trying to make it better for Isabel and for him and
Well, that's the
easier.
thing in relationships, though. I mean, it's like the other person can't read your mind. So if there's something you want or
Yes,
need in your relationship, voice it because they're not just going to guess.
right.
And yes, I do think Kody shouldn't need to be told, "Hey, contact your kids more." But okay, he does. So
Yeah,
skip that part where we're like, "Yeah, you shouldn't need to." Fine, but he does. So then do
yeah.
it for the kids.
So if you know that that's the case, then just like let's save us all this headache and just be like, this is what we need to do.
And you can still be frustrated with him for
Yeah,
needing to be told that, and she can still, that would be adding
that's
probably
your
to wanting
issue.
to leave,
Yeah, that's
but
her problem.
still just do it because it still needs to be
Yeah,
done at the end of the day.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I felt because Kody makes a lot of claims and more in like an angry way about her playing games and testing him and blah blah
Mm.
blah.
Why he doesn't
And like,
really think that she's actually going to leave because he thinks it's still
right.
just a big threat game.
And like, I kind of get it. And this when I'm watching her spell it all out for the camera, like, yeah, actually, Isabel would love it if you called. Love it if you said, "Don't go to school." I'm sure Cody's like, "I'm just being supportive. If you want to go to school, I will not stand in your way."
Mm-hmm.
He's not taking the another step to say, I'll do this to see you. We'll
Yeah.
go for walks so I can still make time to see you, or it's really important to me that I see you. It's really important to me that I don't get exposed. So please don't go to school.
Yeah.
If you decide to, then so be it. Like he just isn't going that next step. And I keep saying he's just so tired and broken that he just can't.
He
I
is.
don't think he's got the capacity to make that leap anymore at this
I
time.
think that's exactly it. Like,
Yeah.
the thing is, I mean, we've watched them for years, okay, and I've disagreed with a lot of what Kody has said recently, and he seemed really kind of aggressive and unhinged and all that. However, I don't think his heart is like black. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it's in
maybe.
the wrong place most of the time.
Well, I think his
Honestly.
heart is exactly in the right place as far as his thoughts on COVID and stuff, and his priority is
Mhm.
keeping his family safe and just trying not to get. And remember, like, it's easier now to look at it 2 years beyond it and be like, oh,
Yes.
it's just COVID. Like when you get COVID, you're like, oh, dang it, I got COVID. For not everybody, but for a lot of people now.
Mhm.
But this was a really scary time. Like, it was very, very uncertain. We were told a lot of
Mhm.
different things about it, and we were
Yeah. This is
just
still
feeling
early days.
lost. Yeah, and so you can
Yeah.
understand him being like, "No, I gotta just circle the wagons and keep my family safe."
And
And
the way they're living right now is so not conducive to the way that he is being told he needs to live to
then,
not get COVID and to not spread COVID. Like the
yeah,
way their family's set up right now, it's like he really is like he's really like torn in four different directions and like I think he's just resigned to the easiest option, in addition to the fact that he maybe prefers Robyn, it seems.
right.
it's like, this is the easiest. This is the path of least resistance.
Right.
Everyone can be mad. I'm fine. Call and yell at me. Okay.
That's fine.
Like,
But if
yeah.
my
Like, he's just
actions
like,
though are going to keep people safe, then I'll just do it and take the flack. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. I
and
think,
I
yeah.
can't fault him for that. I mean, he's made some mistakes, but like, I do think his intentions are
I
good.
think he needs more support than they're willing to give him at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know. So anyways, we gotta move on.
Yeah.
There's more sections to cover.
Right.
Um, and the next one is that, as we know, Mary's mother, Bonnie, who's actually in the show quite a lot. She runs the
Mm.
B&B that Mary ends up purchasing in St. George. Is it St. George or Lehigh? I think it's St. George.
I think it's St. George.
Lehigh's where they're from, right? It's where they started
Yeah, I
out.
think it's St.
Yeah. She owns a B&B that was in their family for generations, and her mother lives there and kind of runs it. She's often babysitting the kids, and she'll show up for different family events. So Grandma Bonnie's pretty present. Um, and Mary gets the news that she has had a heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in the hospital.
It was coding.
Yeah. And her sister's trying to communicate with her about things that are happening. So she jumps in the car and like goes, but it's like what, a 5 hour? Is it 5 hour drive ish?
Yeah.
If I recall.
Yeah, it's not like a quick ride across town. Like,
Right. So she's an hour into the drive, and she finds out that her mother has passed away. She's alone in the car and recording it all of this, like,
I just couldn't even believe that.
yeah, yeah. It's. I wonder if her being able to like say out loud what was happening was like almost good for her, so she's not really alone, and her head's just like exploding with all this like feeling.
Yeah.
But she's driving and just crying and
I would
just
have
talking
pulled
to the
over
camera.
and just been
Mhm.
sobbing, you know, but
She might have had a minute of that when her sister called. You know, we don't know. We
probably
didn't see
did.
that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very sad, and she has to then finish the drive, and she's missed the opportunity to say goodbye to her mom, and
That broke my heart.
um,
Ugh.
it's very sad, and I'm kind of surprised we had so much of that like firsthand
Yeah.
exposure to that whole day.
And I mean, we just saw that last season that Janelle's mom had passed away too,
Yeah.
and I mean, they've had
Hmm.
some losses, and so that compounds everything with the family too. Those big losses on top of the pandemic and their issues,
Hmm.
and it's just a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it's sweet that they go around to the family, everybody in the family, even Robyn, who's not been around for the decades like the rest of them have been in the family,
Yeah.
and they all have such sweet things to say about Grandma Bonnie, about how sweet she was, how she treated them all like family, and all the
Yeah.
kids were like her grandkids to her. There's scenes of her holding like either baby Saul or baby Ari,
Yeah.
which are Robyn's little kids. And the part that really like I thought was touching was when Christine talks about her having a relationship with Grandma Bonnie, because she has like no relationship with Mary at all. But
Right.
how when Christine's mother left the faith, that Grandma Bonnie really pushed for her to, and she's like, I didn't know what to do with my mom. No one knew what to do with my mom. It was like we were estranged.
Strange. Yeah.
And Bonnie always pushed for me to reconnect with her, and they're close. Like they're close to this. They post videos together to this day, Christine and
Yeah.
her mom. So
I think that part really was super telling about Grandma
yeah,
Bonnie's character.
yep.
So
As a polygamous Mormon woman who was like not gonna shut away this other woman who
which I mean,
left her faith too, and
what
I'm
we
sure that's
see
what her.
Mormons do a lot when they're
Yep,
out of the faith, then they're like, you don't see them anymore. So
yep,
for her still having that heart and encouraging Christine too to not let that
yeah.
relationship go. Like,
It was sweet.
yeah. So yeah, that was a hard one. Ugh, that was real hard to watch.
For how long it's been too. It was like weird to kind of
I know, because we knew about it, like we saw it
yeah when it
posted,
happened.
but
hmm
yeah, it was still it was hard to see it now as it was taking place.
Um, but the last thing we kind of end on is sort of a high note.
Thank
Is
goodness
that
we wrapped it up
yeah,
on a high note.
McKelty, who we haven't seen in forever, it feels like,
Yeah,
is about to have her first baby, Avalon, with her husband Tony, and they live up in Utah somewhere around, I
I think
think,
they
Lehigh
live in
area.
St. George.
Oh, St. George.
So
Okay.
that's why I was surprised when Kody suggested Christine move to St. George, and she was like, oh my God, no. And I was like,
You
why?
know,
They
yeah.
live there.
Maybe just like a smaller town or a really Mormon town, and she
Yeah,
didn't.
it
I
just
don't know.
doesn't,
Her
the
reaction
town doesn't.
was kind of snotty.
Just Cody
But
suggested it, so that's a hard no.
yeah, she's like, "Ew, no, I need to go 3 hours further."
Right.
Um, with your kid, but not. I'm not judging Christine. It just like was a weird
Yeah.
bit. Um, and the most, and so we watch all of like obviously a much sped along version of McKelty's labor with Avalon.
Of like
It's a
over
home birth.
24 hours of labor.
Yeah, it was a long, and her and Maddie both, they show a lot. Like they show
I'm surprised at how much they show, to be honest, because I personally obviously would
unnatural.
not feel comfortable with that. But
Like they're naked. I mean, you don't
yeah,
see their like body parts, but you see that they're naked. Like it's
yeah,
like very, very intimate. And they're in their room at home. Like it's a home birth, so they're in their personal, I assume their bedroom that they sleep in,
yeah,
you know. So, and the fact that she didn't think, if I get it why she's like, I didn't feel like Cody needed to be there, her father.
yeah.
That's just like a weird
I don't need my
thing.
dad down there, like
Yeah.
looking at the
Like,
baby coming up.
but then
Yeah,
again, it's all on TV. I mean, you were not seeing like
yeah.
the upshot, but like it's still like, but
You can
everyone in
still
the
see
world
the
is gonna see.
footage, like
Mhm. But I get it also when she's like, I didn't feel like I needed to invite my dad to this. So Christine goes, and Robyn apparently is super close with McKelty.
which is news to us. Like,
Yeah, we just watched the seasons that they're reflecting back to, where like, oh, well, before Robyn got married to Dad, I moved in with them and helped take care of the kids. Like when?
like what?
We were just like, I have no memory of that. We just watched those episodes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, close
Um,
enough that
it
they
was
like
sweet
built a really good relationship when McKelty lived with Robyn, and then they
to the
still to this day have
yeah
maintained it. So,
to the point that the two people she wants to invite to her birth are her mom and Robyn, and that's
right.
it. And Tony,
Well,
but
obviously Tony, but
yeah.
yeah.
But it was just like wow, especially knowing Christine and all of her problems and grievances with the family and with Robyn. Truthfully,
Yeah.
they really came together for McKelty, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. They put
Um,
aside everything with it and were
yeah,
just there for her. So,
because Robyn's not present physically; she's zooming in,
yeah.
and Christine keeps checking in, like oh, updating her, and like she even takes a picture of like
Crotch shot.
crotch shot of I guess Avalon crowning, and she like takes a picture on her phone and then shows it to Robyn on the Zoom, and I'm like wow, that's
I literally
dedication.
wrote down, I was like, now you just have that on your phone. Like, what are you going to do
Yeah.
with that? Like,
Even if you delete that, wouldn't you just
it's
live
in
in
the
fear of it
cloud,
somehow getting sent somewhere on accident? You know what I mean?
right?
Just
Like, I'd be like,
um,
Mom, can you not photograph
never.
that moment for me? That would be great.
It's almost like I'd rather you move the laptop down here
I
than just
much
have
rather
that
would have that
photo.
than having a
Yeah.
frozen image of it forever.
Mhm. But it's sweet. I mean, it's well intentioned. She wants to
Yeah.
keep Robyn in the loop about what's going on, and it's just knowing where Christine's at right now and all that. It's really I was really impressed with how she
Yeah.
handled that.
It just I mean, she was being a mom and being there for her,
Mhm.
putting that first. So that was
Yeah,
good.
it was sweet. And then we see Avalon born, and we see Tony's very like sweet and involved in coaching, and it's just a really nice.
They had a
Um,
scary moment where her cord was wrapped
that's
around
true.
her neck
Yeah.
and she had to,
Did they say neck?
yeah, I think so. She said it was like wrapped
Oh,
like
okay.
3 or 4 times around her neck. And then her
Oh,
heartbeat,
okay.
Avalon's heartbeat was dropping.
It was dropping.
But they
Yeah,
were like, you got to push, you got to get her out. And so she only pushed for like 10 minutes, they
10
said. And
minutes.
like,
Yeah,
dang, girl. I was like, she's a
I was
warrior.
like, was this scene even 10 minutes? Like, do we like? I was
Right?
like, dang.
So, I mean,
Um,
she got the baby born and she was good,
yep,
so she did it.
yep, yep. So it was sweet and nice to see Tony and McKelty again. Since I feel like since the wedding we just don't really connect with them a
Yeah.
ton.
Yeah, I mean, because they've just been living away, so it's kind of
Yeah,
harder to
yeah,
drag
they're
a camera
adults.
crew out that way just for them.
But yeah, overall it was a good episode. I was glad to have something else going on than just like the nitty gritty conversations of Cody and Christine.
Yeah, because it's starting to just show what they're going to be like moving forward.
Yep.
Because they are going to obviously moving forward separately, and the fact though that, like you said, that Christine could be there and put any feelings she has about Robyn aside
Mhm.
to be there for the kids. Like that's a good sign of how they can function moving forward as a family.
And like maybe her problem isn't even really with Robyn, but it's with Kody and
I
how
think
he is.
so.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe she doesn't even blame Robyn as
Yeah.
so much as. But then again, even with like she's offering to have Kody move with them across country to literally from Arizona to North Carolina with Isabel in the same car. So
Mm-hmm.
she is willing to put things aside for the kids
Yeah.
to an extent.
Which,
And
I
I
mean,
think
you
that
see, like, there are some divorced couples who don't, and then it just becomes
right.
this acrimonious thing. Like, so
Yeah.
kudos to them. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so far, like, it's not like a clean break. It's not an easy split or anything like that, especially with kids involved, but at least hopefully there are indicators that they might be able to do okay. I guess we'll
Yeah.
see, but
We'll see.
there's
I'm
still the
curious.
big patio fight that we've seen
I
the
can't
trailers
wait
of.
for the cardio foot.
That might be
I feel like
next week.
I feel like the trailers really, really have let us on in that scene. They're like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's like the peak of
That's a
the, you know what I mean?
final thing of the season.
Yeah. I hope not.
I hope
But
not.
they teased it so much. I'm like, oh, is this gonna ruin it for me now?
Right.
Um, because yeah, no one knows Christine's leaving it.
I think next week is when she said she was going to tell them. So we'll, I guess,
We
wait
shall
to
see.
see Sunday.
We shall see. Well, I'm gonna try to get to 5:30 yoga. I think.
Oh, yay.
I guess we should say goodbye. Thanks. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.